The Twins get swept in KC, and Rocco is mad as hell and is not going to take it anymore. Let's see what got his goat after we get locked on Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to destination for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Locked On Podcast Network, which brings you your team every day. I'm co-host Dave Brown, a professional ball writer since 1998, a BBWAA member since 2012, and a Baseball Hall of Fame voter since this year. So please follow me on Twitter at @AnswerDaveBrown if you like. Across from me in cyberspace is Brandon Warren, a Twins watcher for 30 years who not long ago covered the team on a daily basis professionally. He asks, by the way, that you spam him on Twitter at Brandon_Warren. Oh boy, what a dud of a series in Kansas City, ending in a 2-0 defeat Sunday. The Twins lose all three games and score 2 runs total the entire time. They did it in 1 inning on Saturday. Minnesota has lost 14 of 20, and while they're just 5 games out of first place, still, because the Guardians have been struggling out west against the Dodgers, they're only 3.5 on the wild card side in front of the Tigers and Mariners. So it's getting a little tricky on the back end. Before we go into details about that and talk about what Rocco thinks of how his team played against the Royals, let's ask Brandon, who is bringing us this fine episode of Locked On Twins. Brandon?
Well, now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a free 3-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And as you know, Direct Sunday Ticket is not cheap. So 3 free weeks of testing it out to see if it's for you. What a great deal. Also, remember, you can catch every pitch of the Twins hometown broadcast with Chris Atterbury and friends on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app, search Twins. It's the Festivus for the rest of us on Monday at Target Field against Reed Detmers, 6:40 p.m. Central first pitch. You can find that on SiriusXM. It's also, and I know this because I'm doing this for work, a nationally televised game. So hopefully the Twins show up. This Angels team is not very good. But I don't know. I figure if they were going to show up, it would come after they got their butts chewed. And rumor has it that's what we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, the Twins had a team meeting after they lost today. And Rocco had a very brief message for the media, or maybe it was for the team through the media. He said that was an unprofessional series of baseball we played, and that's all I've got for you. And he gave no further comment. I was not here for this part. I was there for Saturday, and I was actually in the pregame Sunday, but then kids had soccer, so I had to go watch that. And I don't mean it like that. I enjoy the soccer, I really do, but I missed Rocco's terse tirade. It counts for a tirade for him. All things considered, Brandon, do you agree with Rocco's statement?
Well, do you want context?
They were unprofessional.
The Twins were thrown out at the plate as many times as they touched home plate safely in this series. So, yeah, I think Rocco is right. And, you've lost, you said 14 of 20. And so even worse than the 7-13 start that dug this team into the hole that they've been frantically bailing out of the rest of the season. It's like digging out of a beach, trying to dig a beach up with one little sand shovel, and they just can't seem to make any headway. So, no, I think Rocco was definitely justified in that. And I'm sure a lot of fans, a lot of cynics are like, why didn't he do it sooner? And a lot of cynics are, oh, you also failed this team and blah, blah, blah. All that aside, I think I kind of went back and looked at how he addressed the media on Saturday, where I feel like he kind of faded the heat instead of going after the rookies, because a good leader won't throw guys under the bus. He's like, oh, the umpires, and we didn't do this and that and whatever. And I think he was kind of trying to keep the heat off specific guys. And now I think he's just like, listen, everybody needs to figure this crap out because we're circling the drain, and it feels as though it's a team that even in playoff position is in a death spiral, a death march. This would be the end of a season where if there was the old school wild card, like back from 1994 until just a couple years ago, you would be playing for nothing right now. That's the way this Twins team feels. And that's maybe not fair to say, but it's just the way it looks. And again, these guys are playing through some stuff. They've got some great players who are hurt. I don't want to take anything away from the circumstances that have put the Twins where they are. But this was some uninspiring baseball in this series. I tweeted, it's like the Twins are in these games, but they get down 1-0, 2-0, and you just have no feeling in the back of your mind like, oh, something good could happen. Like, was there any doubt in your mind that Lucas Erceg was going to shut it down in the 9th inning in either of these last 2 games? Not me. Not me at all.
Well, I went back and I wondered. I didn't see the game. Like I said, I was at soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the first thing I was following the score, and it's hard to know exactly what's going on when you're doing that. But I heard about Rocco's mini tirade, 2-sentence tirade, and I'm like, wow, what did they do in this game to prompt him to say that they were playing unprofessionally? So I went back and looked. I was trying to find like the real unprofessional looking stuff, and there wasn't much. It was, and he did say it about the series. It wasn't just about the game, but I kind of think what finally did it for him was maybe not the 9th inning against Erceg, but the 8th inning. Now the Royals have been, if they've done nothing else, they've been really good at scoring late in games, and you can kind of see the wheels turn in their at bats in the later innings. They try and really work the count and get things going against the other team's bullpen, and that's been a method, and we've kind of been wondering how sustainable it is. Well, they went down real easy in the 8th inning, and I think, and then Erceg was on in the 9th. I think that was like the last straw. As far as them playing unprofessional, I think we saw a lot of that on Saturday. There were some things going on with the base running, and some of that is, bad sends from the third base coach. And I think there was one of those today, a really bad one, early in the game that but it's not like, even if they had scored 1 or 2 in that inning, it's not like we could expect the Royals to add on very much. They just haven't been doing that.
I have to say too, it's not like the third base coach doesn't feel the pressure of, if you're not scoring runs, to force it. And, it's a do or die situation. Sometimes even bad sends can result in runs. I'm sure 25, 35
Yeah.
time. And
Jose Miranda's not very fast. And
neither's Kyle Farmer. It just comes down to, when your offense isn't going, do you do a risky send or do you wait for another hit? And that kind of puts you in a rock and a hard place. But at the same time, if neither of them work, fans are going to be ticked, because then the other thing that didn't get done would have worked in their mind. There's that. I don't know what the effect is. It's kind of like if the Twins would have brought in Jax first and then Duran second in Saturday's game. I'm sure that that's just galvanized in some fans' minds that would have worked. Or, just keeping Ober in for the complete game and forget that you got 2 relievers that you really trust out there. That's kind of the logical fallacies that you operate against when you're trying to talk to the masses about baseball. And so it's difficult. It's a difficult sport to convey to people like that. But yeah, I think you make a good point. You go back to the 8th inning, Brooks Lee striking out, looking on 3 pitches, not swinging at any of them, after a foul out to first and a liner to second. That's about as uninspiring an inning you can have outside of striking out the side in an immaculate inning. And especially, Brooks Lee looking 1, 2, 3, like not even a foul ball, not even so much as a threat of making contact. I think as unfair as it might be to levy this as an issue against Brooks Lee as a whole, I think sometimes individual events can really lead to a boiling point. And I think it's a lot of things that led to just that kind of being the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, there definitely wasn't one thing I think that made Rocco say it, but it was just interesting to me. I was looking for lots of sloppiness or bad defense or inattentive play again, and didn't really see that. It was tough because it was the start of a really decent performance by Simeon Woods Richardson. He was I think Rocco did the right thing to go to the bullpen, and that was borne out uh, in how the bullpen shut down the Royals pretty much after that, except for Salvador Perez's 80-foot -25 launch angle single that maybe that was a thing that set him off. But the Twins are putting themselves in position where little dinky stuff like that gets them beat, and there's no coming back from it. So, I think that's where Rocco lost it. Now, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work? Is this, he's trying to light a fire. Is that going to work? Is that what they need? Is it just a fire that they need? I don't know. It's there's so many things not working out right now that I don't know that, just wanting it more is going to make a difference.
And the schedule is not really that crazy the rest of the way. I had it pulled up here. It's, Angels, and there's the Reds, and there's the Red Sox, who have been, kind of hanging on the precipice of the wild card race, but not really doing anything there. And the Orioles at the end, who knows what the Orioles will or won't be playing for the last 3 days of the season. And so it's unclear what's going to be standing in the way of the Twins turning things around outside of their own issues. So, it's nothing stood in their way the last 20 games when they could have been making up ground on the scuffling Guardians. And you know what? They've basically just said, no, we're going to keep you at arm's length 5 games out. And that's where we're at right now.
Let's take our first break, and then we'll talk about some other details of this slide.
Yeah, more sad stuff. Well, you know what isn't sad, Dave Brown, is that my Minnesota Vikings won, and I assume you're a Bears fan, right? Or at least,
yeah.
Bears-ish.
I mean, you can't stop, you can't quit the Bears.
Yeah,
even though they've quit so many times.
Well, and it's not as though they won because of Caleb Williams, but at least they won the ball game, which is important, and so that'll be a fun little battle for bragging rights on our show. But you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we have something a little different for you from them now through September 22nd, so a couple weeks. FanDuel customers, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a free 3-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So if you want to catch up on, seeing if the Lions are as overrated as you think they are, what the Packers might look like without Jordan Love, Patrick Royce just tweeted that he thinks the Lions are overrated. So I'm kind of riffing on that. But then, though, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you'll need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. So again, before September 22nd, all FanDuel customers who bet $5 get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to check it out and to download America's #1 sportsbook.
So before the game, Dan Hayes from The Athletic tried to get Rocco to commit to something more definitive about Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton coming back. There was a report, Ken Rosenthal of Fox Sports said Saturday night that I assume that he heard from Carlos or someone close to Carlos.
Can I ask you something about that?
Yeah.
Did it ever bother you as a local reporter when national guys would come in for a day and get like some kind of scoop like that? And you're like, what the hell? I'm busting my butt around this team every single day. And then one of these golden boys comes in and gets a scoop that I would have just loved to have. Like, I don't know. I guess I understand it's the nature of the business, but it always bothered me when I was busting my butt covering the team, especially when they were bad. And then a bit of news that would have been great for me to have for my own purposes gets fed to a national guy who hasn't been there. I don't know. Maybe
No, I know what you're saying. I think it's kind of an inside baseball. It crossed my mind. I'm like, oh, that's interesting that Ken Rosenthal has this bit of news, whatever it is, but like a local reporter doesn't. But then I thought, well, I don't know. Is the news that actually my first thought when Ken Rosenthal reported that Correa had ran well and was that it wasn't anything new. It was like just kind of a repeat with maybe a little more of a little more recency of things that we had already heard. You know, he's run a couple times before and he's coming back, but we don't know how soon. So it's like, was it a huge scoop? Was it something that we kind of heard already? You know, it's almost like the Correa thing, as I understand it. We'll know that he's back, you know, when he says he's back, and anything before that is just kind of a mental exercise, if you will, of just kind of wondering and not knowing anything definitively. I don't know how big exactly what it was that Rosenthal said that was really big news. Although it did occur to me what you asked about, well, you know, why didn't a Minnesota guy get that? Because I think about that stuff too, as a former reporter of a local team. You know, when a big fish comes in, a Bigfoot, and gets some kind of nugget like that. So,
well, probably Littlefoot if you're talking about Ken Rosenthal. Yeah,
heyo, he's 5'4.5".
Yeah,
but those shoes are little. But anyway, so maybe out of a little frustration, Rocco was pressed this morning. So, you know, is this news? Is Correa coming back soon? What about Buxton? And his response to all that was, I don't know. And he's like, you know, I can't make something up. I really don't know if it means that they're closer. And I took that to mean what he said. At the same time, I think the local reporters think they have the feeling that Correa is close to just ripping off the Band-Aid and coming back, whether he's ready or not. But I think I wonder if that's speculation on their part. It seems like it might be. And that Buxton is close too, but Buxton was close before and he has setbacks. So
yeah,
I think they want transparency and they want answers from Rocco. And for one reason or another, he's in a position where he can't give it. He can't give them.
It may not exist.
Whether because he doesn't know or and if it doesn't if it's like, well, it looks like it's going to happen, but we don't know yet. And we think and we say it's going to happen and then it doesn't happen, then we look like schmucks.
Yeah.
And we look like, you know, our medical team is failing and we look like the player had a setback and maybe we don't want to call it that. You know, it's a funky situation in the first place. It's hard to know for sure. So, and it's hard to say if you know, even if you know.
So so one of the first video games I ever had that was my own was Madden 96. And like you'd break your leg and it would say you'll be back in 14 weeks. And it was that precise. And that's what I think fans are trained on is like, why are you lying to me? Why are you not telling me that Byron Buxton will be back on September 14th? And like, it would be irresponsible to say so. It's irresponsible to lie. It's irresponsible to lead people on. But then you want transparency. Transparency doesn't exist. Like, I just think we've gotten to a point where the fans are just so convinced that everyone tangentially related to the Twins in their front office is a bunch of liars and no good scoundrels, when in fact the human body heals the way the human body does. And you're kind of left to, hey, it's a 6 to 8 week timetable. It might be 10, it might be 4. You know, I saw Ozzy Albies has been out for 7 weeks on a 6 to 8 week timetable. And I don't know if it was Bowman or DOB from the Atlanta side of things was saying, I guess, well, that timeline was a little short. You know, that's just the realistic way that injuries work. And if you say that publicly on a media platform, people will claim that you're taking up, you know, residence with the Twins, and that you're getting paid off by the cheap pole ads. And you can tell my frustration level with this because it's been now 10 plus years that I've been kind of under those crosshairs. But at the end of the day, it's like they want accountability and transparency, and like they don't know what those words actually mean in that context. And I've reached a point now where people know I rebooted my Twitter account. I'm just not going to respond to those anymore because it's just digging a hole that I can't dig out of. And let bitter fans be bitter, let angry fans be angry, and let sleeping dogs lie, because sometimes people just aren't going to listen.
No, it's true. I think it's also not, it isn't necessarily in the team's interest to be absolutely 100% upfront and truthful with everything that they can be, for reasons that I've kind of already been over.
Reminds me of Bo Porter. I don't know if you remember, but he was the manager of the Astros a long time ago. And there was I don't remember if it was Julia Morales told me this or somebody, but they said they'd ask him, well, who's available in the bullpen tonight? Who's not? And he's like, no disrespect, but why would I tell you who's not available so that the manager on the other side can find out and plan around that? If I've got, just hypothetical, if I've got prime Billy Wagner at the back end of my bullpen and I tell you he's not available and you're the Twins, why wouldn't you load up with Morneau and Mauer and all the left-handed hitters if you know my big-time lefty's not going to pitch that night? And so there is a lot of reasons not to fully divulge the truth, whether you know it or not. And I think that line gets blurred for a lot of fans who, not because they couldn't possibly understand, but they choose not to, or they just choose anger and, swinging at whatever they can reach within arm's length.
I think it is a good story and good speculation to say something like Correa is champing at the bit and wants to come back and is ready to rip the Band-Aid off but I don't think we're going to get Rocco to say that on the record.
Well, and there was a prominent-ish Twins Twitter personality who was like, I think that Correa is just happy to collect a paycheck. And he's just like, you know what? I'm going to take my time. And it's like, dude, that's one, irresponsible. Two, as esteemed guest Greg Masterson says, just kind of a gross way to talk about people and their motivations. And for whatever reason, that the Joe Mauer situation has bled into now Byron Buxton and Correa. And if you watched Correa in Houston, you would have no doubt the guy would chew off his own foot to play. But he's not at that point right now, because why do that? You know what I mean? Like he's wanting to come back, but it's not dire in the sense that, he's but he wants to be out there. There's no question of what fuels him. And for whatever reason, fans are just like, he got paid. He's done.
Well, it's a lazy thing to think and say. Of course, there are players out there who are like that, but
nobody can just prove it. So you could just say, yes. Oh, I'm right.
Right.
Dumb.
All right. Well, let's take our second break, and we'll. I don't know if we have any Royce Lewis high hopes for the future, but maybe we can think of something to get people at least a little optimistic about the Twins' future.
Well, like Ben Stein used to say, I shall do my best.
All right.
You know who else is going to do their best is eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience are the formula for a winning team and to win championships, but it's also what keeps your ride alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. By the way, Dave, did you end up getting a new car?
We did. We bought a Toyota.
Nice. I drove a Toyota in Kansas City once. I rented a Toyota Tacoma. Was not impressed, but you know what? Consumer and everything all said to check it out. So I did, and I drove a Toyota around Kansas City just like you're going to be doing. But superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you and your Toyota, in Dave's case, or Chevy in my case, covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay's guaranteed fit is only available to U.S. customers.
So is there any good news? Maybe. Not with the major league team.
Christian Vasquez had, as Patrick Royce also pointed out, well, he had 60% of your hits. That's probably not a good sign on a given day. I don't know if that's
we should do a show that's just entirely us talking like Patrick Royce sometimes.
Well, and people actually around here used to do really good Sid Hartman impersonations. May he rest in peace. And in fact, and I don't know if you're familiar with this guy, but he has also since passed. Tom Hanneman, who was one of the first broadcasters of the Timberwolves, he walked through the back of Target Field's press box, which it's tiered. So if you're not sitting in the back row, you don't know who's walking behind you. And he said he said something like, if you were all players, I'd DFA the whole lot of you, or some goofy thing like that Sid would have said. And we all look, and it's Hanny just making this big old grin on his face. And it was nobody we'd ever expected because he was this kind of prim and proper broadcaster. But I love those impersonations, and Royce is a pretty easy one.
So I don't know if Royce knows this or not, but they've promoted recently. We talked a little bit about Emmanuel Rodriguez going to AAA and to AA. Who's going to AA? Who's a AA?
Walker Jenkins.
Walker. You got to Walker before you can run. So
by the way,
Walker Jenkins already at AA. That's pretty good.
Somebody asked me too, like a good friend who listen. I don't know if he listens to the show, but he said, with what we know about Buxton, what the heck do the Twins do moving forward? Emmanuel Rodriguez is going to be the insurance policy there, like at center field. It's going to be nice to have one built in. You don't have to go get a Michael A. Taylor, whatever. With Jenkins, between Jenkins' emergence, he's going to get about a week at AA before the season ends. I know Fort Myers' season ended today. They're going to be pretty flush with high-end MLB outfield depth, both in terms of quality and in terms of proximity to the major leagues, where there's been people saying, have we seen the last of Max Kepler as a Twin? And it's not out of the question. It really isn't.
I think it would depend on whatever the state of his injury is at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to be back
3 weeks of regular season left, so
that's what they mean is if
right.
He's not, if he's got a nagging injury or whatever, the tendonitis. I mean, the knee is tricky. You don't know how long a guy can run around on a tricky knee, and we saw for the longest time he wasn't doing a great job of it. So it's possible. That's another person though. A doomsdayer. Oh, they should have traded him. They should have cut him. Whatever. He didn't have a great year, and he's going to be a free agent. So whatever. But I think we're seeing with Jenkins promoted like this to give him a taste of AA, that it's very possible he could debut in the next calendar year.
Is he turned 20 yet, or is he still 19?
I feel like it would be troubling if I knew that answer off the top of my head.
It is kind of a nerdy question.
February 19th, 2005. So he was born my first year of college. Actually,
I celebrated not 20 because it is not 2025 yet.
He was 3 when I spent my 19th birthday at Benihana getting sushi with my friend Paul and eating, get this, green tea flavored ice cream. So I remember my 19th birthday very well because I was in my first year of college away from home.
I've heard about green tea ice cream. I've never had it, but I've heard that it's good. And Benihana is a great birthday location. That was a good idea.
We did the sushi. We never did the hibachi, but Locked On Benihana would probably be a great program.
Nobody in the Twin system's going to the playoffs, right? So, we've got 1 week left in the AA season for Walker Jenkins. Is there anywhere for him to go where he could, be a ringer for low A's playoffs or whatever? I don't know.
No, I don't believe so. No. I mean, is he an AFL candidate? Maybe he is. I mean,
that'd be quick, but that's a great question for Falvey. Is he around? I wish.
He's busy making
him in Kansas City, but
he's busy making bad trades for the tweets to get mad about.
He's busy Googling stuff, hopefully, but no.
Let's hope. It's not this show because we're not trying to badmouth him, but
no, not about this.
No.
But All right, that's enough. We're good. For this that'll do it for this episode of Locked On Twins. Hey,
let's give Sully some love.
Sully, what about Sully?
Hey, I'm Sully. Thank you for making that wasn't a very good Sully impersonation. He sounds a lot less East Coast.
Were you just doing Monsters Inc., Sully?
I might have been. I'm not sure. Or like a Seinfeld character because I've been into Seinfeld lately. Very East Coast. But anyway, thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. But for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB, and it's wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. Host Paul Sullivan, you can call him Sully. He said it's okay, is here daily to provide you his national expertise and his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. And, you know, when I kind of do sing-song things in the ads like PrizePicks, I kind of stole that from him because he does that. So prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, just like Locked On Twins. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day.
So we're hopeful the Twins can do some things against the Angels, but look out for the first game because it's Reed Detmers. I know he's been in the minors a lot, but he's also got didn't he throw a no-hitter? So,
I mean,
I think he did.
These are the kinds of guys that fans are convinced their team can never beat. The lefties, the guys with the high ERAs that are from the minors. It's crazy.
He's a lefty who's, I think, thrown a no-hitter, so watch out for that. Hopefully the Twins will get things turned around against the Angels. It might not be till Tuesday.
10-2 win coming in.
Right. All right. That'll do it for my co-host, Brandon Warren. This is Dave Brown for Locked On Twins saying that we will see ya
tomorrow
night.
Tomorrow night.
Casilla.
Alexi Casilla.
Got the hit in game
163.
That's what the Twins need right